Hello, my name is Frank Ball. Welcome back to our Journey to the Cloud video series. In this video, we're going to discuss three of the components of data center optimization: applications, operating systems, and the hypervisor. IT infrastructure exists almost solely to deliver and connect applications to the enterprise. With this in mind, it would only make sense that we look to start with the applications when looking forward into virtualization or cloud-based type architectures. Looking at these three components of data center optimization, I'd like to share our experience when considering hypervisor and virtualization's impact on both the applications and operating system areas from a savings point of view. With most applications, availability is the typical benchmark for any organization. VMware's vSphere solution solves the application availability concerns with the introduction of fault tolerance and high availability technologies. The resulting impact is a lower requirement of software licensing. Most of the software providers, especially Microsoft, have introduced new licensing models that complement this, but I'd like to use an application cluster example to highlight the areas of savings. If you're running an application cluster in high availability mode, let's say something like Microsoft Exchange 2003, you would have two clusters with 2 times the amount of licensing. In a 5-node cluster, that would actually equal a total of 10 servers and 10 licenses. In a virtual environment, we could run a standard 5-node cluster with an additional license for fault tolerance. Or if we use one of the original 5 licenses to rebuild a failed VM on another physical appliance, we could leverage high availability. Now the same would hold true with disaster recovery. A base system could be established with the node, and we could scale this or extend it using idle licenses from the production environment if it's not available. Talk about a business case for golden images. Now, let's take a look at operating systems. There's 2 major areas of consideration when looking at the cost savings around operating systems. The first one's all about Microsoft. Now this is a little bit of old news for some of our customers, but we still stumble across customers today that are not aware of Microsoft's data center licensing. Now we want to make sure we build awareness with all of our customers, so we'll talk about this in a little bit of detail. In 2009, roughly, Microsoft introduced their data center licensing model. Now, in legacy models, you would either buy a standard server license or an enterprise server license. With enterprise, you had the ability to run up to 4 instances of a virtual server. Now, when we shifted data center, this newer form of licensing, we ended up with an all-you-can-eat type of model per socket. Now, if you think about this in the context of Moore's Law, where we're seeing 20, 30, 50, even beyond virtual servers running on a physical box, you start to see where the impact on cost comes in. The second area of OS licensing is focused on non-x86 workloads. We're talking about RISC-based systems here. Many organizations are moving Unix platforms to Linux for an incredibly lower cost of ownership. Now, not all applications can make the journey, but a high percentage can. With RAS characteristics now available in things like VMware, when I talk about RAS, I mean reliability, availability, and serviceability. Now we can break the dependence on physical hardware of RISC-based systems, and we can shift these costs to lower commodity-based x86 architectures. Savings in this migration impact all other areas of the data center optimization chasm with an incredibly lower cost of ownership. Now, as we look at the hypervisor, or what we commonly call virtualization, this became the catalyst for change that we needed to make in our environment, and it's really driven the whole demand around data center optimization. This area becomes the pivot point in the data center optimization chasm. If you listen to the analysts, you'll hear them tout a 60 to 80% savings if you virtualize, but they never really define where the savings come from. Well, guess what? We can, and we're doing it right now. Hypervisor selection is all about the serviceability of the applications inside of your environment. While physically buying a hypervisor saves you $0 because you're actually buying software, implementing a solid virtualization or private cloud strategy that adheres to the tenets of our data center optimization chasm will provide the capability for you to achieve the maximum amount of savings possible. This is one of the reasons that we have always led with our advisory services. Advisory services give us the ability to define the actual install base, usage of applications, and the infrastructure to provide the appropriate service level back to your business. I'm Frank Ball, and I'm excited to be your guide on this Journey to the Cloud series. Join us in our next video as we detail how unified infrastructure or converged infrastructure can better prepare your organization for virtualization and private cloud, and how the cost savings in these areas continue to impact the overall chasm.